Cat.
And I'm Mello.
And this is Art and Inquiry.
And we're really excited to bring you a refreshing new episode of Art and Inquiry. And today, our episode is Lemons and Limes, Mixing Mediums. We've got an incredible creator with us, Barbara, and you're going to get to see why she's a true creative force. She's known for her ability to blend multiple artistic mediums into breathtaking expressions of artistry, transforming melodies into stunning visuals, and crafting stories that bridge the gap between sight and sound. So I'm super excited to get to hang out with her and Kat, and we'll dive into her philosophy on creativity, how challenges don't have to be roadblocks, and squeeze something extraordinary out of something simple. So with that, let's jump in.
All right, first off, we have to talk about the lemons.
We have to. What is the deal with the lemons, Barbara? Talk to us.
What is the deal with the lemons?
What is the deal with the lemons? Well, it's actually, this started way back. When I first made my logo that I use right now, that is something that I use for ages. I think like 20 years or so. It has some improvements, but on the end, it was my, the letters, BTFL, beautiful. And then with a small asterisk.
I called it. Thank you, Barbara. You validated me. So we went back and forth about this, and she's like,
yes.
Hey, I have to memorize the website. I'm like, it's beautiful without vowels.
Yes, because less is more. Usually less is more. So, yeah, and if you have a book, sometimes some things are mentioned with a small asterisk, and then it's been explained elsewhere on the page. So I had a small asterisk behind it, but with my last rebranding, and that's when the lemons came in place, I was like, that asterisk, it looks like, the inside of a cut-through citrus fruit. So I was like, yeah, that is nice. I'm going to use that as my branding. So the lemon, it's so versatile because it has its functions in the kitchen. It has its function on your plate when you're making a nice dish or a nice drink. It just refreshes everything, but it's also very helpful for cleaning. And it's like, it's like so versatile. And actually, that's what I am as well. As a designer, I am a versatile person. So that's why I considered myself being a lemon, but then for your company and being the lemon for your company to refresh it and make some nice art for your company.
I think, Barbara, you're more than just a garnish, for sure. And I think that's typically what people think.
Like,
you're the main course, the dessert, the appetizer. I mean, even in the drinks.
Lemon can fit everywhere.
Lemon can fit everywhere. I also love that though too, because you're talking about like adding something to the overall flavor or taste of a dish, or adding something to a cleaning product, or you're adding value, and that I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people they have a spirit animal, but it's my spirit fruit. I think
spirit fruit.
Yeah.
I like the spirit fruit. I'm here for that, actually. Okay.
My gosh.
So you'll be the lemon. I'll volunteer as lime, so we can hang out a little bit. Especially like in mixed drink.
I'm gonna have to go with apple.
If you mix with Barbara, she'll prevent you from turning brown, if you're already priced. So that's powerful.
No, you always stay fresh.
Exactly.
Love that.
Got your back there, girl. Yeah. And actually, if you make a mistake on my website, it's there as well.
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
We did this for fun. Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it.
If you make a small mistake with a mislink, then it just goes there, and then it's like, the lemon turned bad.
So this is why you guys,
if you don't eat them quickly enough, they turn bad.
They do.
So these are some very bad lemons.
Well, and lemons are a little sour too. You know what I mean? Like, they've got some spice to them.
They're tangy.
That's like these are some bad lemons. Yeah, you caught a bad lemon. That you caught a bad lemon.
Yeah, I absolutely love that.
Yeah. So if you go to Barbara's website, you can scan the QR or just type in btfl.art. And not only is there some incredible pieces and some fun quips all across the website, but if you go to a link that doesn't work, you'll get to pull up a 404 page, and it does vary as well. So if you want some entertainment today, definitely check out her site. I spent quite some time there just messing around, and it was really cool. There's so much great stuff that you have. And I think it kind of echoes too, even just, with your profile card, you're into a lot of different things. And what really, I think, comes across is the mixed mediums. So you're not just limited to digital or traditional. And then you also have just such a heavy influence of music. And a lot of the different things that you've picked up are music projects and works and things like that. So I think along those lines, Barbara, if you want to tell us just a little bit about your background and kind of what got you to where you are today as the Lemon.
I went to the Graphic Lyceum in Rotterdam. So that's also a big city in the Netherlands. And but that was, it's a lovely city, great with architecture. I lived in a very small village, well, not a full village, but a small city, far more east in the Netherlands. I graduated and got my diploma in graphic design and multimedia design. So that's one of the influences you will find a lot. Because I had to move to Rotterdam, I still had a job next to my school. And somehow it just happened that I stayed in that branch, and it was more in the fast food, fast service and restaurants. But next to my day job, I still kept creating with drawings and all the other things. Fast forward to the big C, the Corona period. It was not a fun period. I had made a career in restaurants at that time, but they all locked down. If this happens again, then I lose my job again, and then I'm in stress. I have so much more to give with my creative side. So that's when I decided to give my own company more effort. And that's when the beautiful creative studio really made a flight. And yeah, then that's what I'm doing right now.
See, I love that though. I love how you took something that, the lockdowns were so hard on so many people, and working in the restaurant and, any sort of in-person hospitality kind of industry, so many people lost their jobs. They lost their entire livelihood. And rather than being beaten down, you got up again, and you really took something that could have been so bad and made something so beautiful out of it. And I respect and admire that so much, because I think a lot of people, we all sort of had our moments in the pandemic of self-reflection. What do we want to do with our lives? Like, this is crazy. It was crazy. It was a nuts time.
It's real.
You really identified some priorities and went with them. And I think that's very inspiring.
I can do everything. And if the commission is really nice, I will do everything. But somehow it evolved that the music industry is more kind of my niche. So
it's good. It's good to have a niche like that. And music is such a fun niche. Like, being able to go out and see bands, you know what I mean? There's a lot of cool perks that come with specializing in music. It's so cool, especially if you really like music, to be able to, through your job, that makes it even more, you're passionate about the art, you're passionate about the music, like that kind of passion comes through. So you talk about it spiraling and being word of mouth and all that, but I do think the passion has a role in how these things happen. Like, if you're not interested in what you're doing, you know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily going to have the opportunity, is like half luck and half skill. You know what I mean? But it's the skill and the passion, I think, that make these things sort of spiral. So you were talking a little bit in the beginning of when you decided to start off. One of the things that we talked about in our pre-interview that I wanted to ask you about again here is about the administrative aspects of building a brand. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of artists struggle with the concept of setting up their pages, setting up their identity and things of that nature. Since we're on the subject, do you have any sort of advice or any sort of would you like to speak to that in any way?
Well, if you're like branding in all the whole big scale, it's like the being recognizable. So make yourself visible. That's something that I really had to learn, and that's actually a skill that I honestly don't really. I'm not a kind of girl that if you look at my Instagram, it's not there. It's not my face everywhere. It's like sometimes I post a story with my picture in it, but it's not everywhere. But in the last 6 months, I decided to do that some more. And that's how you see a few more of the pictures. And if you have some money left, please, please, please invest in a good photographer that can help you make your own branding pictures.
Yeah, because your pictures are really good.
And so perfect.
I love this one here.
When I stumbled across a pink suit, I really had to buy that. My daughter, she saw that suit and she's like, "Mommy, you really have to buy that one."
100%. When you see a pink suit that looks good on you, that is your,
absolutely.
You have to buy that.
Well, I tried it on. It looked good. I was like, okay, I'll buy it because you say so.
It's stunning. Like, I love the color drench thing, which is very, very on trend, very hot right now. But the fact that it's like a travel photo, you know what I mean? The energy and the vibe that comes through is so punctuated by the fact that everything is pink. Like, it feels happy. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, you feel relaxed here. It feels soft, but it feels dynamic.
Well, that's actually, compliments have to go to the photographer because she's really good in what she does. And she does really good branding. She makes you feel relaxed. So that's why I tell new people or people that want to really invest in a good photographer, because those pictures are worth more than 1,000 words, actually, because they tell the story.
I really like this picture of you too. It's very... It's really nice, and it looks like it. It's going to sound really weird, but it looks candid. But it's obviously a professional photograph, but it looks like you were just out having fun and you just stopped to take a selfie. Yeah, I love that.
Also, with branding, really think about your color palette. Because your color palette, that is what makes you recognizable. Even if I'm not posting a lemon, because that's one of my brand items. If I still use the same color scheme, it still feels like me.
Yeah, what I think is really great about your color palette as well is you use a lot of the color psychology behind it too. So if you think about like this teal and the yellow, those are vibrant, energetic, and they're also complementary, like in their relationship to each other, if you look at a color wheel. So just to kind of combine those two, you basically get this sense of cool, calm, but then it's grounded. From the teal, but then you have the yellow that's like the warm, joyful, and like energy, vibrancy. So when you pair them, it's like this balance between excitement, and then there's a little bit of like the confidence and that, cool, chill vibe that you get along the way. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what this is. But those color complementary things, I think you might spot it in a few works.
This is like a good segue into this piece, because the part of it that you made that had the duality of color, that's why I was so sure, because I was like, oh wait, this is perfect.
This is one of my own experience with mixed media. It definitely was far out of my comfort zone, because it was my first attempt on lino printing. Linotype. This is my first attempt. So the black isn't really proper printed.
But I really like that about it, though. Like, I understand that it's not, we talk a lot on this panel about there being like no mistakes in art, like things that happen that maybe aren't correct, quote unquote, can
only
lead to
pretty little
beautiful.
Oopsies.
Yeah. And I think this is a great example of that, though, because the way that it looks like sketchy, and the way that you've colorized it, it doesn't feel like a print. It feels like a piece of art. And that, I don't know. There's just something really beautiful about that. I just really like that. I like the fact that it's not perfect.
Yeah. The fun thing about it is that actually between the original linotype print and the coloring of the print itself, I think it's like 3 or 4 months. Because then I found the print again and I was like, oh yeah, that was a nice project. But what if I gave it some color? And I just had a new watercolor palette. So I was like, yeah, let's go wild. And it was just an experiment. I was like, oh, those colors, they suited really well. But I had a few misprints. So my daughter got one as well. And she was starting with all those bluish and purple tints with her markers. And I was like, of course, who said that a tiger should be yellow and brown?
Yeah.
And then I tried that way around. And that is the small frame that you put in there. Yeah. I made another version with it in blue and purple tints.
So beautiful.
I put it next to each other. But I still have both prints, and I really like it, actually.
Yeah. So linoprint or linoprint, however you want to say it, because I actually have heard it pronounced both ways. So for a little background on it, it's basically like relief printmaking. So that means like it's a raised print carved out of something in an ink. So just for some context for anyone watching or listening, it's a really, really cool process, but I can imagine that it's so different than just painting on a canvas or drawing on a piece of paper, because there's multiple steps in this process, and it's truly like a printmaking technique, right?
It is. And there's a lot of specialized skills involved with that too, because you have to think about it in a completely different way. You have to think about what you want to push forward, what you're going to ink, and then get rid of everything else. Right.
And a very important thing, you have to mirror it.
Yeah.
Because it's printed mirrored. So you have text. I didn't involve that in that. Yeah. It should be mirrored.
Oh, wow.
So you transfer a mirrored image on the linoleum, and with the sharp tools, you cut that out. If you don't mirror it, it will be inverted on your... Yeah, it will be inverted in your end print.
That makes perfect sense. Oh, wow.
And it's one of those classic graphic techniques. And that fits my schooling as a graphic designer as well. Yeah. So, it was a nice, fun project to get. Yeah, I got out of my comfort zone and something really nice happened.
Yeah, it did. This is beautiful. I especially love the side-by-side comparison shot. Like this, like it's so beautiful to me. It's very the dichotomy of light and dark. The whole vibe is different too. You know, like
it's a whole different animal.
It's a whole different animal. This one has secrets. This one is, you know what I mean? There's almost like Twilight secrets, and then this one is
it's creature almost.
Exactly.
I love how they're pulled together too with the eye colors. So if you look at the on the left, it pulls the yellow that's on the right. And I know that this is actually like a split, like these are two prints cut in half, put together, which is what this smaller picture is on the right. But I love that as its own work, by the way. Like that,
me too.
Stunning. Like it just looks really cool.
Yeah, I really like that a lot.
It's very different techniques. And if I would like to make the smaller comparison print as a real selling print in my Etsy or something, then something else comes into play. That's, of course, the digital after picture enhancement to make it that way. So it's a whole mishmash of different techniques all together. And I think that suits my style best.
You definitely hit on, playing with different mediums. And I think that is so cool when you not only like try new things, but then you also combine different mediums in certain works. I am kind of curious though, because I know just about all of us, we're like, oh, it'd be cool to learn this or to try this or do this. And then we think, okay, time and energy is limited resources, right? So how do you kind of balance that? Like, how do you, when you have so many different interests and things that you want to try and projects that you have ideas for, how do you kind of like organize that in your mind and actually end up producing something? Because I know me personally, I have so many things that I started and just never finish. And you have
but I have a pile of that as well.
The ones that you get to the end, how do you prioritize those and how do you kind of approach that?
Well, right now I've got a lot of different projects going on, but they all they're having some more time before it needs to be finished. And actually, for a lot of those planning, I use, and I don't dare to say this out loud, but I use AI.
No, let's talk about
there are some good benefits of AI.
But for my planning, it works like a charm. So
Absolutely.
I put in my official inquiries or commissions. I put in there with the estimated time that I think I need and the deadline, and it just schedules it in my agenda in blocks of approximately 2 hours. And in that same AI program, I mention my creative time, like an hour a day, just to have fun.
Just for you.
I love that.
Without any commission. So that's in my schedule. And if I'm really short on time,
I just want to point out how much I love that.
Yeah.
That people, I think, get bogged so far down in like, okay, I'm going to do things that benefit my business. I have to do those to post on social. I have to do this. I have to do that.
Administration.
That's the way to burn out.
And in my opinion, because I have a very busy mind with everything that I need to do or want to do. And I tend to spend too much time on planning. That's actually my only source of AI that I use. Before people,
but what a great use of it, though.
Yeah, that's a great.
They're supposed to make our lives easier. They're not supposed to, do everything for us. But like in this way, you're using it in such a manner that is going to make your life so much significantly easier and take a stress off your head. You know what I mean? Like that's such a great use. I applaud that so much.
It also forces me to spend my time on a project.
Almost like somebody nudging your shoulder and saying, hey, let's get started on this today. And that sometimes can be the difference between getting something done or having to rush around at the end. I'm very inspired by that idea.
You're automating a lot of the tactical things that, yes, you as a human being can do, but it takes us, even if it's just minutes, and then it takes AI seconds. So imagine if you add that up over, multiple days, what that really means, months, years, etc.
Repetitive tasks.
Allocate that time.
If you have repetitive tasks, well, please leave that to AI. And I use it to check my programming code and all those things. They are so much quicker than I can do it.
Throw this in Markdown, put this in this format. Like those little things make a huge difference. I'm the same way. Like I'll write notes and then I'm like, put this in bullets. Awesome.
Yeah. If I think this project will take me 1 week, like 40 hours, but it actually takes like 60. Yeah, of course you're going to run out of time.
And then you have a tool that's keeping track of all that stuff for you that is in the past as well. So you can go through and check out your archive of tasks. And it will help you with that. That's brilliant.
Yeah. So it's going to learn too about like you're going to basically learn a lot more about how many things actually take when it comes to time and resources. And I think that's something that we all struggle with, whether we realize it or not, is I'm really bad at this. I'm like, oh, that'll just take me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It never really
takes 3 hours later. Literally
3 hours.
Then you made your planning, but you haven't done any sketching yet.
Exactly.
Right. And now the making of my planning, it doesn't take me literally any time. So I'll start Monday at 8:00. I start right away.
Yeah, I asked for advice for other people, and you've given me advice that I can actually. I love that for me.
So that's how I keep track of all those things. And the second one actually that I want to mention is collect yourself a tribe. And that sounds a bit weird, but if you have people around you that encourage you to experiment and find new things, then it will help you so much. So I do some, all those artists, they're not having much of a budget. So I always choose a few, which I tend to work for a very small amount or just for the gesture or the exposure, but only if they let me do my thing in the greatest. But actually my goal of that project was to make the most of my tool palette that I have. So it's can either be Procreate, can either be Photoshop, or which of the graphic software, or my art supplies as well. If I just can go all the way, and I use those projects to find a new skill set or to enhance a skill set that I don't really.
So you are getting something out of it, really. Like you're getting something very vital.
Yeah, because, I gave my time for you, but I want to have something out of it myself.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to do more of the graphic or the digital drawings in Procreate. And Procreate has a lot of options, a lot of options.
Yeah.
And so my goal was, I'm making those YouTube artworks for that artist organization.
Mm-hmm.
And but every artwork I make, I want to experiment with a new tool or another brush that I haven't really used before. So
it's a way of keeping things interesting too. Because very often, especially as graphic designers, we get the kinds of projects that we've already worked on because that's what people think to hire you for, because they've seen that you can do it, right? But if you're constantly adding a new technique or a new skill into that, that's going to keep it fresh for you. Like a lot, it seems like so much of what you do is geared towards keeping it fresh. The lemon makes so much sense.
Right? This is like, are you just promoting her right now? Because that literally sounds like her whole brand strategy, and I love it.
So much fun. Like it's few times have I seen a branding strategy that not only makes sense for that business, but the person as well. Yeah. Like that's you. You're the lemon. You are.
Yeah.
You are the lemon.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm trying new things every day. It's like, can I put a lemon on chocolate? I don't know if it is nice, but I'm going to try. So, and that's what I meant with that tribe. If you have people around you that encourage you to do new things, either paid or without, but please never underestimate your worth. If people get money out of it, you really should. Never work. In that case, never work for free. If you have for non-profit organizations, that's what I do in my schedule. I have a small amount of my time reserved for non-profit, for which I work on a reduced or without it, but only to enhance my own skills.
Well, true. And then also to give back. You know what I mean? Like one assumes you pick nonprofits that you have a personal stake in, or, something that you want to give back, when, you know what I mean? Like that would be something, it's a way of using our skills for good,
Yeah, but that's something, that's how I get into the VJing. I had my, my friends in music. So I was like, I can do your branding, of course. And then I did the branding for the band. I was like, but how if you put it on stage with that branding? So that's how, and that's what made me, work in VJing as well.
I love your controller, by the way, your VJing controller.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what that is, right? It's really cool.
Now I'm doing that for this band because I made the branding and I was like, you can do visuals behind your screen and that's nice on the screen. But they were like, we just want to play some photos of the original band. And I was like, oh no, that's not going to happen. So Duran Duran, big 80s pop group. And they are a Dutch tribute. They play the music of Duran in the style of Duran. And they're really good musicians. And I stepped in to make their branding.
This is beautiful. Just how dynamic that is and how simple too. But it's not simple. Like your use of color here, the way that it kind of the way that there's just like a subtle shift in the look. It's such a simple font, but then you've done something really amazing with it. Like I just love this. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Striking.
You. Well, I have to do the original shout out because Duran Duran did it themselves. This is a tribute to the band. Tried to make that. I want to have that feeling. So the Duran Duran, they had a similar logo. And I made it with their names. And then with the other, I think it was one of their DVDs by Duran's.
Yeah, it was
themselves.
a movie. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was. I think it was a DVD with,
Wow.
I think with some behind the scenes. Really great movie, by the way. Really great DVD. But that's something that I wanted to incorporate in their branding, but still being their own. So yes, it is definitely inspired by the original, but it's
inspired by though. It's not a direct dupe. It's inspired. It's like you've done something.
And that's in the techno scenes and the dance scenes. It's so well known to have visuals. In live bands, not that much, but if you do it, I think it should really complement it and not work against it. So if they wanted visuals, they wanted pictures of the original hit band, like a photo slide behind it. And I was like, we're not going to do that. No, I'm sorry. I made a brand for you guys. And if you have something behind you on the screen, it should be branded.
Get back to like the concept of branding in the first place. Right? Something that I think a lot of bands need desperately, which is cohesion. You know what I mean? Because especially if you're doing a lot of different styles of music or a lot of different types of songs, the visual cohesion is what can make you truly recognizable. I think you did a great thing for them.
They had their own style, was also with high contrast, but I like to have it some more.
Theirs is very much like that poster there. The Duran Duran one is very like, okay, here's a band, we're starting. Yours is dynamic, like it's them doing acts of playing. I love that.
It is dynamic, and it's actually born out of necessity because we didn't have a nice band photo where they went all together without being too static. So I was like, okay, I'm putting your picture, because when they made the promo video, they had a professional photographer as well to make some pictures, and I used those pictures all together. Yeah, to have a collage.
But I like it way better than them being like just static and standing there. It's so much better, and then you can use the word I'm looking for here is angle. You use the angle of the guitar or the bass rather to
for the cut line.
Yeah, it is the bass.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's beautiful.
Yeah, they're nice. I like the that made the whole picture actually. Yeah, it definitely started from that bass.
Yeah, the bass, that angle. And then that's very much like theory of design too. Like, the design where you take and make something that you draws your eye across as you read, down to the bottom, across over here where the call to action is.
This is a perfect example of proportions, of how you do contrast, of how there's just so many different things that work well that make this speak such a vivid message, but then artistically, like, it's just really neat. And plus to have them all together in their own element, not doing the cheesy smile where they're all looking at the camera. I think it just makes it so authentic. And that's what a lot of things miss when you do like a staged kind of photo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and it's everybody looks like they're having a good time. They're concentrating. They look like they're in the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the expressions are different. I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also credits to you. Sometimes you have to work with what the photographer brings you. And this is nice.
Life gives you a bunch of random disparate photos. You make lemons.
Exactly.
Yeah, use your flavor to make it one dish. And you're looking for the overall similarity in all those pictures. And then this happens. Yeah, it just happens. I couldn't imagine that it would be this way, but yeah, it is nice.
Well, but that just goes to show you that sometimes the elements that you're using suggest that's part of like where the creativity comes in. You know what I mean? You're given a bunch of different things and you're like, these don't really fit together. How can I make them fit together? And you did a great job with that.
And that's when the bass came into play, because it was the nice official. Usually if you chop someone's side up, the picture looks weird, but because of the bass.
Because of the bass, you had a through line. Yeah.
Yeah,
perfectly.
Because otherwise, you'd have to do like a hard strip of color. It'd be awkward. You're making it too compartmentalized. Yeah,
100%.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. So now we're sharing. This is what we were alluding to earlier, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, cool. So tell us about that.
This is a group of very talented musicians who have a long history in music, but also were not dedicated enough to give lessons. They usually all have a day job, which is something really different from what they do, but they still have a big love for music and they're very talented. And everybody has their own specialty. And there's this one guy, he's called Martin, and that's the founder of MHX Music. He brings together all talented musicians as a producer because he loves to produce all those covers. If these are remakes or covers from original songs, sometimes with twist, sometimes because just one of those talented artists work together has a favorite song that really want to bring in their own habitat. Can I call it that way? So that's why this is being founded. And I think the first release was in 2017. So that's far before I stepped in. So there's a YouTube channel with songs that they made and they recorded it themselves, produced it, mixed it, mastered it. They all do it themselves because they really love to do that. Well, that's something that I love do. Yeah, if people have a passion, I really like to jump in. So I get in contact with Martin by one of my fellow musicians. And he said, yeah, if you want to make some nice artwork for my channel as well, you're more than welcome. And I said, okay, I can do that. I know you don't earn money with it and it actually only costs you money. I won't charge you, but I really want to use what I do for you to get myself better and to get myself seen in the scene. So I made like a couple of drawings. I think before I made this logo, I already had 8 releases done. And I was like, yeah, I think you can modernize your logo. And I already made you.
Yeah. I already made it for you.
I already made it for you because I got inspired. Yeah, well, that's actually what I do. And he was like, oh, but this is so nice. Can I use it? I said, of course. I'm not making it for peanuts.
No, it is.
So
it's really pretty.
use it. Yeah, well. So it's actually the initials of the name man himself, Martin Hendricks. So it's MH and the X is just like a gimmick. Blended together in different layers. And because of all those, it's a blue letter. The M is a pink one. And the X is yellow. And I made it a little opacity. And so it's just on top of each other. And
it's cool though, because I like how they're separate and yet blended. You know, and your use of color, once again, is very strong for this logo.
Yeah, because it's the essentials. They have something essential, like an original song that is usually already done and already being popular, like songs of Pink Floyd, songs of Led Zeppelin. It's everything. They gave it their own touch by having another twist, maybe some little more on a rougher side, or making it a ballad, or translating it into Dutch. It always has a twist. And that's something that I wanted to make with this logo, to have all multiple things combined as something new. So that's why this, how this logo gave birth. Actually,
it made me think of Da Vinci, and it could just be because of the schematic lines behind it. But then I started thinking, well, if it's inspired by that, the whole concept behind Vitruvian Man was basically the ideal human proportions, blending art, science, and philosophy, which was game changing at the time. So then I started thinking about, okay, well, that applied to this. Does that fit? That absolutely does. Actually.
Well, that's fun that you mentioned that one, because you know, the ideal proportions thing and the circle.
Man,
That's something that
and all of
Yes,
all of
that's
that.
something that I really wanted to mirror through, because they have their classics like Da Vinci, and they layer it with their own sauces to make the music alive again.
Yeah,
So
100%.
so yeah, that was also a kind of the concept, to have those lines between it, behind it, as a small, wink,
Like a
to the
nod to
past.
that.
Yeah,
Totally.
a nod. I think that's
it's a great nod to it, for sure.
is.
And it like goes down the whole like the Renaissance piece as well, of like the ideal of like, human potential and
or the ideal song potential, for
exactly
these pieces of songs.
like greatness and fulfilling like your potential in whatever field that is, but not just one thing. Like basically being a jack of all trades, like a Renaissance man, is typically like the buzzword that's used around it. So
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So that's the logo, and this is. I made a couple of illustrations. Yeah, and actually, my goal of this artwork, especially, was to get the hang of the repetitive tool in Procreate. So Procreate has this tool that will repeat it for you. So actually, when the commission came, like turn the beat around, it was like, I usually never listen to the songs. I only read the lyrics. And
that's fascinating.
I usually, almost none of the songs that I made an illustration for, I've heard before I made my first sketches. And it's just sometimes that I already know I think that happened only twice. All the other times I didn't have any clue about the song. It's like, okay, let me read the lyric. Yeah, just let me read the lyrics, and it just goes, turn the beat around. So I was like, the beat that repeats, it goes on and on and on and on, and it goes around. So that was like, okay, I really have to use the repetitive tool in this one. And then I looked at the lyrics, and it goes, it mentions all the instruments that's going to be in the music. And I was like, okay, I'm going to really make that beat be felt on the digital paper. And so by repeating it, there is a beat in it. You can start and you can go over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And have the beat. So that's something that happened. And then about the color choice. Yeah, that's how my brain works sometimes. And it's like, okay, I really want to get the hang of this tool. So so that in that way you make the best of Procreate, make the best of the digital tool that you have, and learn also with it.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't used it before, and I was like, oh, this is nice. This is something, it really fits. But the original song, it's in the 1970s. And usually all the
I have it
colors
in my head right now.
in the 70s were very retro. The brown, oranges.
But this is still your style too, because you brought your aqua into it, which is very 70s.
Yes.
Like it fits.
The orange is the nod to the 70s. And of course, on the vinyl, you see it's on a black disc. So that was and that's why there's a small hole in the middle. It's a nod to the vinyl.
Yeah. It looks like,
just like
a record.
Yeah, just like a record spinning. And the aqua, it was, again, like on the color theory.
Yeah.
It's right on the opposite of orange.
It sure
Definitely on the opposite. So that really made it pop and modern.
So I'm assuming then for this one you used Procreate Symmetry. If you drew one. So the symmetry tool, to your point, that was one that I too was like, how do I actually use this? Because I could see this being really fun, but it feels a little overwhelming actually when you first open it up, because it gives you a lot of different options. It tells you like, do you want to repeat it vertically, horizontally, quadrant? There's obviously radial for the circle, which is used a lot in mandalas. And then it has some additional
and I use it for
too.
this one as well, the radial repeat. Yeah.
It's really fun though. Like once you can understand kind of how it works and like each of those different toggles and what they actually do, because I think going in when I first tried it, I was thinking of like, what's the difference between mirrored and rotational? And like, how do I do that? So this is a really great example of how you can absolutely use that feature, because you don't have to sit there and draw all of these different instruments over and over again. And it's better than copy and paste because you can make them actually connect.
And getting the actual positioning just right. Like, it's so nice to have a tool to do that for you rather than having to like put on a grid and do it yourself.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes. And in this case, it works very well. Unfortunately, the guitars are flipped as well. So some people
like that.
will.
To be honest, I don't like that.
I like
cool.
too.
It
but
adds
some
visual
people
interest.
they don't like it when a guitar is left sided.
Well, I
think that's wrong with
they're working left-handed guitars. Like, I'm pretty sure there are. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there are left-handed guitars, more than one as well.
But I like that it adds visual interest. It adds something because it's not all the same. You know, it's same, but different. Yeah.
Now, but there was a designer choice it. I was like, now it's not the right way around. But I'm like, I don't mind. I like it this way.
I like it
this
that way.
This is the way to go.
I love it that way.
And I like it because on the YouTube, it's been seen this way. But this picture works very well on its own in portrait side as well. And I actually use it on my background with my telephone.
I love that.
Yeah, because it's so nice. Mm-hmm. It's one of my. This is one of my all-time favorites.
I mean, I can see
really
why.
Want this style.
Visually is stunning. I think we should. This is
absolutely.
I really like how the instruments look in here. I just really like. I'm seeing new things every time I look at it. I'm seeing new things in here. Like, I just now noticed. Like, I saw the recorders before. Or the flute before, but I'm just now noticing these little drums in the back too. The ones, really nice. Sneaky blue drums.
Yes, they're still there. Actually big blue drums.
Yeah,
because this song is very high driven on percussion, so there should be a lot of drums in.
This just, at first glance, without knowing anything about it, it's just so captivating. You can't not look at her eyes. And then once you're drawn into her eyes, you then start to pull back a little bit and just the amount of detail that you have in her face. And then you have just different elements. So now I'm thinking, okay, this is a nun, then there's a name necklace. What's going on? Tell us the story, Barbara. I have to know.
Yeah. Well, this is the artwork for progressive metal cover by Opeth. And the original, Martin asked me to make the visual that accompanies the YouTube. So there's something nice to look at while listening to the song. And I haven't heard of this song. Never. So again, got the lyrics, read about it, got some of the background story. And it is a sad song about a man who lost his girl. And when he decided he really wants her back, she decided to get into the faith as a nun. So it's kind of a sad story, but she still loves him. And you see that stare in her eyes like, I really want to go back to you, but there is
she's wary though. I mean, she's been hurt, clearly, She
is being hurt, but she's still attracted and she's really wanting to. Yeah, there's something intriguing about her faith. And then there's this.
She's thinking very hard about something. It really does. So
there is something in that mind going, and in the end of the song, the end of the song, it states that she still loves him, and there might happen something, and as a nod to the life before, but maybe also the life after the regular life, I decided instead of giving her a rose bead.
Rosary?
Bead. Yeah, a rosary. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. I give her one of those, those trashy name necklaces.
Yeah, 100%.
Heavy gold, and that's the nod to the life before, or maybe the life after. We won't know, because this is the only thing of Melinda we have. And for the background, I got inspired because of the original Opeth cover where this original song was stated in. It has a lot of orange, red, and yellow hues. So that's why I got that in the background. And it gives it really something like, is she walking out of the hill, or what's happening? It gives... If I made it blue, it was so different. And this makes it a bit of very, in Dutch we call it unheimlich, or that's actually German, but it's like it has a wary...
Unheimlich.
Yeah, unheimlich. It's really wary. You don't know what's happening. It's, spooky, creepy.
It's a little unsettling, right? A little bit unsettling.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very unsettling, actually. I like it a lot because it makes me feel things.
Yeah. Looking at her, I feel like it screams ambivalence. So she has kind of mixed emotions. She's conflicted.
My goal, actually to make her as realistic as possible. That was my goal, because I'm not really a realistic illustrator. So the goal of this drawing for the MHX product was to turn into hyper-realism or really realistic drawing.
I mean, having like the freckles and the little lines on the lips, because I zoomed in on this before we started the episode, and I was just fascinated with the level of detail that you brought it to, because you didn't have to, right? At a further perspective, this reads incredibly stark, but then when you zoom in, it's just, there's a whole level of dimension. The way that you did the shading, where you have your light sources, like there's just so much cool, I guess, elements that are applied to this that are almost behind the scenes, but really bring to life that whole emotion and the feeling that we're talking about. And I did think too, because this reads as her obviously being a nun, and then knowing that she has this necklace, it says Melinda. I don't know if nuns are allowed to wear necklaces. I've never seen one wear one that wasn't a rosary, right? It's always a rosary or something along those lines.
It's generally,
and if you think about those necklaces that, I mean, nowadays they're typically seen in like certain cultural areas. But where they originally started though was like a symbol of pride and basically like reclaiming your identity. That's how the whole thing started, is like, this is who I am. So it's like a heritage or like a statement of identity. And obviously that's like kind of grown and evolved to where it is today. But if I think of that applied to this work, it's interesting because, I mean, is she trying to claim her identity as her own because she's not in that relationship anymore? Or was that who she was before and she wants to go back to that? I mean, we just don't know. There's so much.
Oh, you don't know. And that's, it makes you, it's definitely what Kat says. It makes you feel things. And that is what's happening.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, that's what I really wanted to accomplish. I wanted to improve myself on realistics. And as a side effect, someone who's listening to the song and looking her in the eye is feeling things.
So, all right, back up one sec, because you just said you said several times that you're not typically a realistic. This is really good for realism.
Really good.
Like, so this was your very first, just to be clear, this was your first attempt at realistic faces?
At so realistic, yeah. And in Procreate, yes. Of course, I did it on paper, but I wanted to use the tools in Procreate to have it. Which brushes, which blending, how does this work? How can I get so realistic as possible? Yeah.
I'll have to ask you some deep dive questions, and we'll throw them in the companion blog post because I am kind of curious which types of brushes you use to achieve this look, because I have a pretty good guess on the outsides and all of the different shading that you've done there. But what really struck me is the face and how you pulled off just the lighting and then the way you have like the freckles. There's hyperrealism, to your point, thrown in there. And then it's contrasted with like the soft glow. So we'll have to compare notes there for sure.
That's okay.
It's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's really amazing. Just to be clear, that's an incredible first effort.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, now we're going on the graphical side.
Yeah. I love this.
For all the word nerds, this is for you.
Yeah, for all the word nerds. Yeah, well, this is where my history in the graphic design just gets back into my work. I actually had a new Procreate brush which imitated reso printing. Reso printing is a different kind of technique again. And I got a new brush and I was like, oh, I'm going to try it. And I what am I going to do with it? And I made a few things with it. Then Martin got to me and said, I have this song and I want you to make your cover, do your magic. And I was like, okay, come on, give me that song. And I was like, oh, but this song I know. And as I stated before, I always get my magic because I'm not knowing the songs that I'm really drawing for. And I was like, yeah, dang, I know this song, but it has no meaning. Actually, I haven't found a meaning. Just like party, we're going to have fun. And I was like, okay, but how am I going to make this into an artwork? And I was like, what is it with this song? And I was like, I cannot pronounce it. And on the Dutch radio, none of the disc jockeys, well, a few can, but most of them cannot pronounce the whole artist title without at least making one mistake.
To be fair, that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
Have something by Chumbawamba.
Yeah,
I had to slow myself really down in order to do it correctly. So that makes sense, especially if it's not. Yeah, I feel that.
So I wanted to make that unpronounceableness, if that is even a word.
Sure, it is now.
Oh, okay. It is now. And I wanted to make that visual. The way it's like a letter soup. You cannot even write it in the right way around. And again, playing with all the different letters and finding the blank spaces between them. And it's like, oh, I can squeeze an A over there. Oh, yeah, I can squeeze it over there. And playing with, I had made a whole different color palettes. But I was like, it's the nightlife, it's party. So that's why I made those nightlife poster thingies.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because I was thinking about this as being just the poster, but then you would put it on, this background to display it. This is the image. Oh, I love that even more now.
Yeah.
Like that is so good.
Otherwise, it's just, and honestly, it's also because I need to, because YouTube is made for landscape.
Right.
Tonight,
very specific dimensions for you.
And poster is usually portraits. So I was like, how am I going to do something that I'm really made for a portrait design to a YouTube cover artwork?
Yeah, this is really good though. Like as a YouTube cover image, I love this. I would definitely click that. Like,
it's very cool. I absolutely love this.
And I had my chance to play with mock-ups because that's actually what you're doing here. You're making a design for print, but you want to make it visual for your customer or your client. And it's like, this is how it looks in real life. But it's never been printed. So it's just all mock-up. But the original design, it works. And that's what I had different color schemes, but this nightlife scheme, it just fits it best. And again, with some colors, it just
Magenta is an amazing color.
I think it's my spirit color.
Think so?
And
okay.
I think so because it's in a lot of my works.
It
bold
is
combinations.
I would have thought yellow was your favorite color or aqua
as well.
But, all those colors go very well together. And again, we're in that primary
I like to go back to the basics. So it's primary, the aqua or... CMYK. Yeah, actually the basics. CMYK.
CMYK,
is the base. It's actually that's where it all starts. If it goes to printing, let's be honest.
Right.
Screens, different things.
RGB, we can't handle those letters on a screen.
But
No CMYK.
But I cannot.
That's great.
I cannot print it. So it might, but it's always a bit if you print it.
Well, yeah,
because of the light addiction and ink, subtractive, addictive, color.
We're always talking about that on this channel. The additive versus subtractive color.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's how I even got something that I really knew the song, got to something visually appealing.
But but you're still using the words. Like, I find it so fascinating.
And you chose to go exactly word route. Like, you didn't use any other visual elements except for obviously geometry. You have some circles in here to tie it all together. The way you're reading it's diagonal. So you have Chumbawamba, Tub Thumping. So, if I don't know if anyone's familiar with the original album art, but I remember it having a pink boy on the front of it. Might be
I have never seen the original.
But it has a bright magenta. This album's, I want to say, late 90s. I feel like I'm dating myself. I was in middle school, though.
This is the 90s color scheme.
I remember singing this song and being a kid and thinking, ooh, they're talking about drinking, because it's like, I drink a whiskey drink, I drink a vodka drink.
Oh, yeah. This is with green.
Yeah. So then you have this magenta. So you actually ended up inadvertently, I guess, pulling in like magenta in here. But then the lyrics of the song, like thinking about like there's a drinking element of it, which I guess the jury's split. Because I've heard people say that this was about like drinking and partying and celebrating. I've heard others, though, who are more familiar with music from the band Chumbawamba, that they're a political band. So they were more like making this the anthem of the working class, and where they work really hard and then they party because they've worked really hard to celebrate. But I mean, I think like with the way that you approach this, and I think you worded it so well, where it was like letter soup, I think encapsulates both of those approaches to what even the song meant by taking this. And it just makes me want to do more stuff with typography, Catalyst. So here's my confession. Because we did do the art of the letter, where we dabbled a little bit into calligraphy, typography, fonts. But we need to go back to it because there's so much to go into, even with the different letters that you chose, with which fonts. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I could have a field day with this one alone.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning.
It really is.
I love this so much. It's so good.
Thank you.
Right.
Awesome. Well, I mean, a lot of this work, it's kind of crazy because I think when we have been going through each piece, they look so different, but there's something underneath it that kind of makes us know that it's yours. And I feel like you have your identity that still reigns true. It complements with the brand that you've created, and you're always keeping it fresh, right? Always keeping it fresh with a little bit of zest. And this is just, it's very impressive to see how you take not just like an approach or a mindset, but you actually apply it. It's really easy when you're coming up with like a brand strategy to be like, oh, this is the vision and this is what I want to be. But you're actually taking actions and projects and things that you're doing in your day to day that make those things a reality. And it's just really cool to see that. And I'm very inspired by it.
Same.
Thank you.
It's next level.
And I really hope that
next level.
Yeah.
I really hope it inspires others as well to find your own tone of voice or brand or whatever, your own style, by just experimenting with the whole range of projects or products to your liking, whether it's pencils, markers, or the computer. Use it all together. And for client work, definitely look at the person you're making it for, because, you know, yes, you are a company working for a company, but you're also a person working for another person.
Yes.
And that's something that you really have to keep in mind. I'm now working on an artwork for an album of a befriended musician of mine. And I think it was in your first slide, it's with the orange and the black and white picture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about, it's not, my designs are complementary to his message.
Mm-hmm.
And you always have to have that in mind. The customer or your client has a message, is also a person, and he wants to be seen, or she and make that message seen with your own style.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
No, I
something
mean, I
that
think you're really good at that because they all look very different. They all seem to, especially with the way that you describe them, they all seem to speak to the message of the piece and the project that you were working on. And yet they all seem to speak to you. And your common through line is always trying new techniques. You know what I mean? That's always, that to me is your common through line, which is amazing to see because it's so easy to fall back into, especially as a graphic designer, it's so easy to fall back into like the same things. You know, people are going to hire you for similar things that you've already done. We touched upon this earlier. I love that you've kept it fresh for yourself. I love that so much.
Yeah, and it's also like going through a supermarket and you walk through the aisles, you see all those different stuff and you experiment it. Some things go well together. Some things you buy, you think, oh, that's a neat package. And then you eat it and it's like, no, this is not for me.
Nope, just the packaging
that's
is good.
Actually, just the packaging is good. But that is what design is about. All different designs already done or still to be invented, all different techniques, all different programs or still to be announced. But it's all part of that supermarket, and you just have to go through there and put the things in your basket that fit you, and that together makes you as a designer, artist, whatever, as a person, and give you the style that you want to express.
100%.
And I think that's the whole. But if you never go to the supermarket and you always buy the same thing and you order it online and it goes, you will never expand your horizon and you will never learn new things.
You'll never find out if you love some type of food that you never would have picked up.
Yeah, exactly.
In case of food, but in this case, I know I like the resale print touch and I wanted to have that incorporated in. I use so many different new things, but keeping my color scheme to myself because I know that works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you hit the nail on the head too, even like just hearing you talk about using Procreate in different ways and, I got a new brush set. I want to try this. It's like, that's a great example of how you can try different things, new things, or pick up a project that's a little bit different that maybe you haven't done before and learn more. I feel like a lot of things that we talked about they're more than just like what makes you create some amazing pieces. It's also about kind of centering yourself as an artist and continuing to grow as an artist and not just get stuck and turn into the ultimate copy paste, like I'm just repeat, and then you get bored and disengaged. So, I mean, I think that like I'm inspired. I want to try something new.
Yeah, I want to try something new.
Like I literally am thinking, I'm like, okay, I know I have actually a RZA print pack that I haven't even played with. And I literally have it on my iPad in Procreate.
But really use it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, I saw they had like a brush back art on it. I'm like, oh, that's really neat. Oh, okay. Maybe I could try something because it's totally away from like my normal style. But I might have a good excuse to do something that's totally away from my normal style based on this artist prompt that we have here. So Kailis, you want to kick us off with it?
Absolutely. So for our artist prompt for this episode, what we're going to do is the theme is mixing mediums. And we're going to experiment with a technique and create something outside of your normal comfort zone. So if you're normally a visual artist, maybe create something, or if you're normally like a digital artist, maybe create something analog. If you're normally an illustrator, perhaps try something with typography, something of that nature. And for additional extra zest, if you include a lemon, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're going to post, then you're going to tag us and use the hashtag #ArtInc so that we can all see your work and put it up on our artist studio that's on our website. So all this information will be down in the description box below and in the companion blog post so that you can, get started.
Get inspired. I mean, I think that's the big thing. Yeah. So in the blog post, you'll see the slides that we went through today that have some of Barbara's artwork as well. We'll have links to her socials that we pulled up and definitely check out her website. There's some really cool projects we can get to touch on that I think that you can find tons of inspiration from. And then make sure you do find a broken link so you can hang out with those lemons as well.
Nice.
100%.
So Art Inc. Me, get involved, create something outside of your norm, mix medias, have fun, go wild. Nothing's ever a mistake in art. And it gives you a good opportunity to try something new and freshen things up, right?
Yeah. Make your own little oopsies.
They're little oopsies.
The little oopsies make the best work.
Right. So we're going to add some extra zest to this interview here, Barbara. We're going to ask you just a few more questions, but these are going to be a little bit different than our normal.
Okay. I'm in for it.
Right. So this is basically like a rapid fire Q&A. We call it quick sketch Q&A.
Right.
In this, Catalyst and I are going to go back and forth asking you questions. These are simple questions. And you just have to say what your knee-jerk instant reaction is to it. It doesn't have to be philosophical. It could end up that way. But just a few questions. We'll see what kind of fun we can get into. This is one of our favorite parts. So you ready for it?
Lovely. Okay, well, I'm in for it. I think.
She's like, I don't really have an option. You guys kind of drug me here.
But I'm out of my comfort zone. Come on, fire away.
All right. So if your art had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, I think. Oh, dang! How does it called? Oh, I have to Google this one. I know the Florence and the Machine.
Ooh, Florence and the Machine. Let's go.
And I think how is it called? Spectrum. Now, Spectrum. Yeah, I think that's one.
Ooh,
that's a great one. Have you ever considered DJing? That wasn't going to be my first question, but now it is. You just put the song like perfectly on the fly. Have you ever considered DJing?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I never considered that. I picked up a music instrument. I like to party and dance to music, but I think around 9 months ago, I picked up my first bass guitar. So now I play bass guitar. You have to feel the rhythm. And yeah, that's my style. Not too much on the front. Let me just in the back.
It's all about that bass.
It's all about that bass.
Yes.
You know, earlier you had mentioned some of your tips and tricks when it comes to like organizing and scheduling and things like that. So I'm curious, if you had 25 hours in a day versus 24, what would you do with the extra hour?
Oh, I would play more music then.
What is one thing that always makes you laugh?
Turds. Turds always make me laugh. I like the turd emoji.
This makes so much sense though.
We're going through, we were looking for different things that we might want to touch on. And I was like, wait, is that a dog on the moon? Is that an astronaut?
She says this to me. I'm like, what are you looking at?
Oh, that was an Inktober.
Oh, awesome.
Challenge. The Inktober was a bad dog. Yeah,
but it's so, because that couldn't happen. That's physically impossible, but it's so funny.
It's very
funny. Turds and middle fingers just get me. Every time they get me.
Love that.
So we talked a lot about color. If you could invent a color, what would you name it?
Oh, if I could invent a color, that's a hard one.
I know, right?
Yeah. It's like a color like a Pantone and give that a name because all of the colors we can see are already there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you get to be creative with the name. And we know that you're super creative with your puns. And we've seen that all over your site. So
yeah, well, then it should be a shade of yellow, of course.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Then or a brownish tint. But then we're going back to the turd.
No. So quick fire, what's your favorite word? It can be in any language.
Oh, onmeunig. That's a Dutch word.
What is it mean?
Onmeunig. You have good, better, best. But onmeunig is it's the even bigger.
Oh, the penultimate.
Yes, it's the penultimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And in South African, the word bubbelas, I like that one as well.
That just sounds fun to say. Bubbelas.
Bubbelas. Yeah, if you're bubbelas, then you're having a hangover from hell. Then you're bubbelas. That's a nice word as well. Yeah,
there's the French phrase that means that you have a hangover, je mal aux cheveux, which means I hurt in my hair. And I just think that like bubblous, that also is very evocative of what a hangover feels like. Bubblous.
You're having a
no, it's bubblous today. It's bubblous.
It's just like, okay, here's your pills and go in a dark room and
here's your pills. Here's a salty but uncomplicated snack and some water.
Oh.
All right. My last question for you is when you're creating, do you prefer silence, music, TV? What's going on in the background?
Music.
Music? Do you have a go-to
Always
playlist?
music. Well, no, that's definitely depending on which I'm working on. If I'm working for the Snake Union project, it's usually Duran Duran, of course, because I want to feel the music and I want to, of course, and but sometimes it's like heavy metal and other times it's like lo-fi. It just, if I want to go if I'm just having the programming, then it's usually more like lo-fi and not to be in my room. But sometimes it's like, oh, I can do it, and then it's okay, where's my metal playlist?
Right.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you have that. Like that's hip hop for me, actually. If I put on hip hop, that means I need
Hip
some
hop is
energy.
nice as well.
Yeah. Okay. So last question from me. What's your go-to lazy dinner? And I'm not at all asking that because I'm about to go make dinner.
Well, if
someone's hungry.
Well, my favorite dinner actually is sushi, but that's not something I want to order because sushi is something I eat out and not something I order.
Yeah.
But if I want my lazy dinner and I want to order it, then it still is a pizza. I like
pizza.
Pizza. I don't mind ordering pizzas, but I do mind ordering sushi, although that is my favorite.
Well, this has been, absolutely incredible, Barbara. We've been excited ever since the first time that we talked to you about your work and got to check out your website and, just seeing all of the diverse types of pieces that you've created and experiences that you've had and kind of things that you've learned along the way, I think are just very inspiring. I'm really excited to try my own hand at your artist prompt too, to mix it up, try something new that I haven't yet. And I'm excited to see, how you continue refreshing everything that you do, because I see that you're continually doing new things. It's like, I don't know how you keep momentum, but it's impressive. Here for it. Really appreciate having you on today. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, me too. I had a great time. 100% think that this is going to be a fantastic episode up here in our Art and Inquiry. So, and with that, don't prep me through for the outro. Wait, hold on.
I was like, wait a second. Am I not the one who does the outro?
I know, right? Well, some things are real.
we covered a lot of amazing things today, but definitely check out the blog post that goes with this, the companion post, because we're going to have all the links, all the info. Copy of the artist prompt will be there, and you can deep dive. You can connect with us, connect with Barbara, show us, your amazing, zesty, new tangy art that you create with the Art Inc. Me artist prompt. And with that, I'm Mello.
I'm Cat.
And this is Art and Inquiry.